Hey, howdy and hello, folks. Welcome back into T1A. We are going to be going through some early quarterback rankings for startups. This should be an interesting one.
Like Tank said, we're going through some early dynasty startup rankings. So we do not have rookies in this. I don't even think we'd put a rookie in here, to be honest with you. We got a little bit of a hot take. Got a little bit of a hot take towards the end of this, but for the most part, Tony and I are pretty on par all the way down through. I think it's like 7.
Yeah,
we get a little bit off
good.
cue there.
I think we're good through 6.
Yeah, we got one guy I got on my list that Tony doesn't, and one guy on his that I don't. So we're gonna see where this ends up here. Let's start off with the first 3 guys that I think everybody will pretty much agree with are going to be the top 3. You can put them in any kind of order. I don't think I'm going to waste my breath arguing with anybody on it. But we got Patty Mahomes at 1, Burrow at 2, and Josh Allen at 3.
Yep, and that's rankings for both of us. We're coming in the separate rankings, doing a consensus show here for you, kind of where we're seeing everybody. But just Patrick Mahomes touchdowns alone. He had 270 points in touchdowns. That's enough to make him RB3 just in touchdown points. Shouldn't be any thinking that he's not in your top 3.
Yeah, he's an absolute beast. I mean, QB1, QB4, QB4, QB7, QB1. I mean, that's the guy's track record. Nothing's changed. He even proved last year he doesn't need Tyreek to be elite. He just needs a guy who will catch the ball.
Yeah.
I'm not even worried about when Kelsey leaves, which is coming. We all know it's there. It's going to happen sometime. No concerns.
I think he'll find a groove with someone else. He'll need somebody that he's reliant on, but we'll know before Kelsey leaves.
Yeah, I mean, that'll come in time, but I mean, you're talking about Tom Brady on steroids. Like, it doesn't matter who you put out there with the guy.
Yeah.
He just goes out, produces, puts up numbers. He's a stud.
And that's being a leader as well.
Yeah.
And that's where number 2 comes in for us. It's Burrow. This is a pass-centric offense that flows right through Joe Burrow's arm. Mm-hmm. He's got weapons at every level. I think fully healthy season for Jamar Chase, and he's our wide receiver 1 on the year. Joe was only second in accuracy to Geno Smith with quarterback attempts over 400 attempts.
I mean, that's the only difference for me between Josh Allen and Joe Burrow is that at some point Josh Allen is going to come at a spot where they run the ball at the goal line more and stop running him so often.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's going to happen next year. I just like the weapons that are around Joe Burrow more. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. I know they just signed a tight end too in free agency. Who the hell was it?
Irv
Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I was excited about it, but it's Irv Smith. So, you quell it really quick too, just to make sure you don't get out of hand. But that's a good signing.
They also signed Orlando Brown to take over their left tackle.
Yeah, see, and that's just going to help Joe out more. He's just going to be able to stand up in the pocket even longer and let those guys work down the field. It's just better weapons. That's really all it is to it. But Josh Allen, man, he's a stud too. You got to give it to him. Finished QB number 2 last year. Joe and Josh are
only 3 less touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes last year.
Yeah, like he's a fucking beast. Don't get me wrong on it, but he does have an aging weapon, quote unquote, and Diggs.
Yeah.
And they have yet to really put anything around him as far as a running game to take some of the heat off.
Even really receivers. Do that look at the ragtag group they have as receivers. They have Knox, Gabe Davis, Khalil Shakir, Isaiah McKenzie. And he's not there anymore. They tried to bring back Beasley. They've tried to bring in some weapons, but it's just not working out. They need to bring in something.
It is time to maybe invest a little bit in while you got Josh Allen there in his prime. And yeah, like I was saying, both Burrow and Allen 26, Patrick Mahomes 27. Like, these guys are in the primes of their career. These are the guys that, they're the top dogs. You all know it.
Yep. And again, with these rankings, you're starting up a draft. We're looking 2 to 3 years. That's why you're not going to see Aaron Rodgers on this list and Geno. If we were doing a top 12 quarterbacks, those guys might come for year-long totals. But this is your starting up. This is who you need to start your team with.
Yeah, if we were doing redrafts, those guys come into play. If we're doing overall rankings and you're just like, hey, who's going to put up the most points, and that's what we're talking about, then sure, Geno, A-Rod, those guys, they make their way in this list. But this is you're investing in value. And like we said, we took the rookies out because we don't know where the hell they're going to land at, and still don't know if we put them up in here. But that leads us right into like this is where we start getting into like some really young guys in the rankings here. My next three are Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, and Deshaun Watson. Tony's got a little bit of a difference in there, but we're talking about a 25-year-old, a 24-year-old, and a 27-year-old in Deshaun Watson that just had a 2-year break. So really, he's like a spring chicken 25.
Okay. And I have it as Jalen Hurts, Deshaun, and Herbert. Just a little bit of rushing side that Hurts still has. He'll have for another year or two easy. Deshaun, same thing. He's got a little more rushing upside probably than Herbert. So he's still got another year or two of being able to add that in on top of getting everything going. But what I like about Herbert is the guy can throw.
Yeah, he's got a great coach, great offensive system, and great weapons around him. Last year sucked that Keenan Allen had that hamstring injury that early in the year. Just hampered him all season, and it would have been a way bigger year for Justin Herbert if he would have had him, because he made fantasy relevant guys. You were scouring the waiver wire for the next no-name dude that was going to be the hot ticket for the Chargers the following week. Everybody was doing it. You were dropping fab on it. You were trying to get into it. It's because of what comes with Justin Herbert and that offense. It's high-powered. They go after the throats of defenses. The only reason I've got to have him above the other guys, and it's like the rushing upside. I'm really big on rushing upside too. But we're talking about a guy here who in his second year was the second overall quarterback. And he, like I said, he's paired in a great offense. He still has really great weapons around him. They're even projected to add weapons to this team throughout the draft. Imagine Jordan Addison on this team.
Well, they need to add weapons because Keaton's getting to the end of his contract. Mike Williams is there for another year, maybe two. And those guys are aging assets. Everett's only on one more year. Eckler, he wants a new contract. So that's a lot of weapons that could be changing over and change the landscape of how he looks. And kind of a deciding factor in how I'm placing these guys, because Hurts is going to have A.J. Brown and Devonta and Goddard for the next couple of years.
Yep.
Sean's going to have Amari. He's going to have Elijah Moore, DPJ. I mean, he's got some decent targets, and that's where just that little bit of a difference between that of what's around him and how long was the changing factor besides that little bit of rushing upside.
Yeah, can't really argue that. I mean, we're splitting hairs here and saying what we like about guys because we've got them all in the same little grouping here. It's just little tiny factors that are moving these guys around between us.
Well, it's just personal preference of how we build our teams, like what we're looking at.
One thing I want to say about Herbert, too, is keep this in mind. He is already through 3 years. So his 5th year is coming up. His extension's coming up. His big contract is coming up. And you saw the money that Hurts got paid. Well, they're not going to be able to keep Herbert at that big contract if they don't start investing some of these draft picks into weapons around him, because they won't be able to have the money to go after high-priced free agents. They'll need to do it through the draft. And so if they start now, then by the time they have to sign Herbert, hopefully they have a couple of guys that still have 2 or 3 more years, and they can afford those guys and kind of keep this winning little open Super Bowl window they've got open.
Yep. Otherwise, they'll be doing what they did to Rivers and never can put really pieces around him enough to do anything. If the offense is good, the defense wasn't as good. And
like you got Phillip Rivers and LaDainian Tomlinson, and you can't even get to a Super Bowl. Crying out loud.
Yeah.
Like, don't waste that. Don't do that again. Touch on like Deshaun and Jalen. I love Jalen Hurts. I wasn't a full believer like I think a lot of people were at the beginning of last year. This year he came out, man. The kid balled out. He looked like an elite NFL talent. He's only going to continue to get better. He's only 24 years old. Like you said, he's got the rushing upside. He needs to curtail that back a little bit. He has that much talent.
There's regression. Regression's going to happen in his rushing touchdown.
Yeah, he needs to not even just regression, but he needs to take part of that from his game and just mold it a little bit better so it's not as reckless.
Yeah.
Because he is young, but he does want to have a long NFL career. And like you just said, you've got all these great pieces around you that you can get the ball to and let them take the hits. They're built for that kind of shit.
And I think that's why Penny was a huge sign for the Eagles. He's a pure rusher, and that could take some of that pressure off of Hurts having to do those things.
Yeah, but man, is he risky? Like, how long is he there? How long is he there to rush? Yeah, well,
run him down, run him out
this year. You go, what are you gonna get that done in a week? Boom, 10 carries, he's out. Fuck. But they still have Trey Sermon. So, like, I mean,
yeah.
they've got that lined up. But yeah. And then to touch on Deshaun Watson, like, to touch on Deshaun Watson here, the guy took like 2 years off and then came back, played, 6 games or something like that. And he looked like garbage. He really did. He did not play well, but he took 2 years off. Now he's got another offseason coming up. And he's going to be there the whole time. He's going to be able to mold with his team. Like you said, getting Elijah Moore on top of Amari Cooper, along with DPJ, not
Njoku.
Damn it. And Njoku, Nick Chubb in the backfield. I mean, like this team they got a good offensive build. Deshaun Watson go out there and be a general and just do what he used to do in Houston, man.
My notes here, I have, a full workout, full off season, the new weapon of having Elijah there, another sneaky good season for Amari Cooper. Maybe it's time for Njoku's true breakout with having Deshaun there. Deshaun can get back to at least 400 yard rushing, 3,500 yards passing. We'll say he's back, and anything less than that, we're gonna say he's washed.
That'd be rough. That would crush me.
If he can't get back to it, yeah. If he can't get back to 3,500 yards passing,
as long as if he's a quarterback 2 next year. And it's just kind of like
still going to be at 6.
It's still washy. No, but I mean, like, you're going to have him here right now. But if he's like a quarterback 2 next year, and it's really up and down, yes, he moves out of the rankings. But I'm not going to call him washed. It's still like fucking. It'll be 28, 29. Shit.
Right. But maybe that time off just hurt him too much. All right. So here is where we start going in different ways, kind of, because I have Dak, Lamar, and Fields. You have Lamar, Fields, and Trevor.
Yeah, I'm off brand by having Trevor Lawrence right there.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's even on your quarterback list. But yeah, the fact that we have Lamar over Fields, I think that plays to the fact that Lamar can still run some, and Fields just hasn't shown that he can do the passing as well as Lamar can. And I think that's just that holds those two, one above the other.
Yeah, I mean, Fields hasn't really gotten a fair shake as far as receivers to throw the ball to. Nope. He did just get DJ Moore. That's a big difference. But now you're talking about Lamar Jackson, who, look, I've got him in my rankings as team ? Because I can't really say Baltimore, right? But I'll go out there. I think he's going to end up with Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't think anybody, if somebody comes out and puts a little bit more money than what Hurts just signed for in front of Lamar, and he says yes, Baltimore's going to pay him that, right? Yeah. They just don't want to pay him and reset the market and do all this when they just wanted to, like, we're going to pay you market value, right? And market value is high because that's where you're at. And so I think no matter what, he's going to end up back in Baltimore. And if you're looking at the weapons that are in Chicago versus what's in Baltimore right now, I mean, OBJ just signed. Bateman's coming back healthy. Hopefully, fucking stays healthy.
Mark
Andrews is there.
JK and Gus.
J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. Yeah, like this team has a really good offense that's built for Lamar Jackson. Not only that, they got rid of Greg Roman, brought a new offensive coordinator in that's more pass-centric, which does show that maybe they are going to lean a little more towards, hey, Lamar, less hits. Let's get the ball out of your hands. And if we are going to let you run, now we've got 3 wide receivers out, so now you're a little bit more spread out. You're not jammed in, taking a bunch of big-ass hits.
Not running double, triple tight end sets.
Yeah, like getting all that weird, he's going to run the ball and turning it more into like he's a threat because he could take off from the pocket and run the ball, and then you run the ball more traditionally. I mean, we're guessing here, but he goes back to Baltimore. He's got brand new weapons, OBJ, Bateman, and Andrews. That's badass. I mean, come on now. That's an elite offense right there. So got to have him there. Feel like I said, with Fields, he figured out the rushing last year, ran for over 1,100 yards, gets DJ Moore now in the offseason. That Bears team seems to be trending in the right direction, but he just hasn't done it. And the only reason I have him above Trevor Lawrence is because of that rushing, because he shows he has the capability to run for almost 1,200 yards. And the passing, if it comes along, he becomes an elite prospect. To where with Trevor, I don't think you're going to get 1,200 yards out of Trevor.
Yeah, not likely. But not. I have Dak up here because I think we had a down year with Dak. McCarthy's system is going to be more run focused, which is going to be all predicated on probably play action pass. So he's going to have the quarterback to bail him out on third downs, which means bigger plays, relying on Dak to be more efficient, which could be troublesome. But Dak only had 394 attempts last year, which is pretty low for what we've seen from offenses in the NFL right now. I don't see it being too much higher, but I still expect him to get 25 to 30 total touchdowns on the year, and that should keep him in that top 10.
Yeah, I mean, he missed 5 games last year, so like there's the hit to that. And it is like if he trends, he ends up being a top 10 quarterback. What was it? So last year 18, he missed 5 games. Year before that, 8. 32, the year before that was the ankle, so injury again. And then he finished QB2 in 2019. So like that is his trend. The reasons I don't have him up here are they're picky, right? I don't trust the Mike McCarthy offense. I don't like that they haven't, in my opinion, added anybody that is any different than what Michael Gallup was there. Brandon Cooks is Michael Gallup right now, if he's even that at the age he is. So you haven't added anything there. Zeke was washed out. I mean, you saw it. He's washed. So it was a good move on them to get rid of him. But then you gave $10 million to Pollard. Now what are you like? Is Pollard the workhorse back, and you're going to bring another guy in? Like, what? Where's this offense going to go? Too many question marks for me. Dak being 29, going on 30. It's like the age factor thing. But do I think he's a good damn quarterback? Does he end up being a top 12 finisher next year? Sure. Yeah. That's definitely fucking there. He's got a star elite wide receiver, but just the way the stars are lining up, there was one other guy that I wanted to get in here that pushed Dak out.
And it's understandable. It's trends of how things are going, and we don't know what's going to hold this draft, but I think he's still got the ability to be a top 12 quarterback with some proven commodities behind him.
Most definitely.
Proven years. So
yeah, most definitely. I mean, there's talk that Jerry's going to go get Bijan. That's pretty huge. And that, I don't know if that helps Dak's stats and makes him better, but that's another weapon.
Yeah.
And there's also talk of them going out and getting like a Quentin Johnston or a Jordan Addison, like another elite type of wide receiver to pair alongside CD. To me, a lot of people want to say that's a detriment. I don't think so. When you're an elite wide receiver and you don't have to beat double coverage every time because there's a guy on the other side taking another safety off of you, you appreciate that because you're still going to get doubled, right? But it's for how long before the other guy burns them, and then now you're not getting doubled anymore.
Well, especially running, you think of Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson's running a deep cross and Thielen runs a hook. You got to stop somewhere because you got to stop one of them.
Yep. Got to be on top of it.
All right. So where are we at? Next three. We're already down to our final three here. All right. So going into our last three here, I have Trevor just down one spot. So the fact that Lamar Fields, Trevor, Dak just bumped them down for me where you had them in the same order, even all the way down to Tua. So we have, Lamar Fields, Trevor, Tua. You have Lamar Fields, Trevor, Tua, and then Danny Dimes is your number 11.
Yeah, buddy. All right.
I'm surprised that he made the list. Yeah.
I'm going to start with Tua just real fast, and I'm going to put a little piece on him real quick. Injuries aside, Tua, imagine what he would have done last year. He was quarterback 15. He played in 13 games. He had all the weapons. They were all starting to figure it out, and just like he just kept getting jello headed. And so if he stays healthy, which he hasn't proven to be able to stay healthy, but without trying to predict injury, if he stays healthy, the dude's a top 3 quarterback. Like he puts up a Jalen Hurts year from last year.
I'll
pop into Kyler Murray.
Please don't rush him as much.
Yeah, don't run the ball. Just throw the ball and get rid of it fast. Kyler Murray is my 12th. This has a lot to do with age, what he's already done production-wise, the fact he's getting a new coach. I honestly don't really know what the hell is going to happen with Kyler here. Like, there's a good chance that he just ends up getting traded because the new regime comes in. He's unhappy, it seems like, in Arizona as is. So this could either be a Band-Aid and it fixes Kyler's attitude and he starts actually being a leader of this team. And if he does that, guaranteed at 25 years old, I mean, shit. And I'm pretty sure he already has a big contract.
It had the homework clause.
That's right, the fucking homework clause. Let's talk about Danny Dimes and why I have him in my top 12. Not even my top 12, but like Kyler Murray below him. He's 11. He's 25 years old, finished QB9 last year with fucking squat around him. Sterling Shepard,
absolute
Darius
garbage.
Slayton, Kenny Golladay. Bellinger was probably the fucking most exciting thing they had there, and he got hurt early.
So they leaned on Bellinger.
Saquon. Yeah, so they leaned on Saquon. This kid still went out, threw for 3,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, and only 5 picks. Brian Daboll, the new quarterback whisperer, has his 25-year-old kid locked in for 4 years on an extension. If he's gonna get every fucking chance to do better, and the New York Giants are going to go in the draft. They're going to bring in talent. They're going to put weapons around him. He already has. I can't even believe I'm going to say it. Wan'Dale Robinson, barf. I'll take Daniel Jones paired with Brian Daboll with Saquon Barkley for another year. I don't think they get a long-term deal done with him, but they will bring in other talent behind him, or they won't, and they'll put that money into wide receivers and other weapons to try to help out Daniel Jones. If the kid can be QB9 with that garbage that was around him, rush for 708 yards, I mean, he's 25. Like, that's a good dynasty pick. I'll take it.
Well, and you wonder how much more rushing he's going to do, but we've seen the trend where if a quarterback can hit over 400 yards rushing, they have a solid, safe floor to be QB1.
Yep, and I think he's running the same type of offense with the absolute doggiest weapons out there as Josh Allen is running in Buffalo, and it's very quarterback centric. It's very open lanes to run if you want to. It's a quarterback friendly offense for him to learn in, and you saw it last year. He took a leaps and bounds. But the thing you got to keep in mind too is like the only year this kid hasn't been a quarterback two, and granted, like he's been the furthest down damn near quarterback two you can get at, 25, 24, and 27 in his first 3 years. He missed games in those years too.
Yeah,
right.
And
so he was still showing progress. Yeah. So and he did have all the fumble issues, but this year cleans that up a little bit. Dable's there. He guru'd Josh Allen into being a top-tier quarterback. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is going to be a top-tier quarterback. What I'm saying is if he is anywhere from 6 to 12 and you paid what you're going to pay, what are you going to pay for him in startups? Like, I don't know where he's going in like ADP snake drafts or anything like that, but I know that in like auction drafts, he's going for like $30, something like that.
What about the Q&A draft? $40.
$40. So $8 more than Trey Lance. So I paid $32 for Trey Lance. I would rather pay $32 for Trey Lance just because of the weapons that are already there and the system he's already in. Like, you don't have to hope it happens. But yeah, that's what you need with Daniel Jones. You need things have to pan out right. Like I'll take him shit right off of this list so fucking fast it'll make your head spin. If the Giants don't draft wide receivers or put weapons around him somehow, somewhere, some way.
Something.
Yeah. There's got to be something. If there's no excitement out of this draft that brings exciting, explosive players to the forefront for Daniel Jones to get the ball to expand this offense and his development, then yeah, he's out of here, and Dak is going to jump in there at 11.
And here is our rankings, how they look.
Straight up dynasty rankings. If we were doing just straight up dynasty rankings, this is like where all the guys are at. This is basically the guys we're going to have in there. I know that if you're wondering who was like 13, 14, of course, I probably had Dak close in the 13, 14 range. Trey Lance in the same boat. I know, Tony, you had
Trey was 13 for me.
13. Yeah. See, so like, keep in mind, it's all about we're aiming towards the youth, the guys we're going to get more years out of, especially when it comes to quarterbacks. So you want to take that into account when you're building your team. You don't want to get a bunch of old guys and then be stuck trying to figure out how the hell you get quarterbacks on your team, because in your drafts is the cheapest you're going to get them. So make sure you do research on who you're getting when you start your teams up.
And what's around them, how long it's going to be around them. Those play factors, some rushing upside. So little things that we were looking at to make this list.
Make sure to hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification so you get all the shit we're putting out there. Be like water, my friends. Tank, see you around, buddy. Peace.